Council come to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mandy, would you please call the roll?
Branderhorst. Here. Butler.
Here.
Carlstone.
Here.
Hopkins.
Here.
Van Strylen.
Here.
DeYoung is absent.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the tentative agenda.
So moved.
Branderhorst, Van Strylen, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Branderhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes. Motion passed. I'm going to be reading a proclamation honoring Michael Norman, a longtime city employee. Before I do that, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of his family here. So his daughter Haley is here with her husband and son-in-law Patrick and their 4 children, Talon, Ava, Kinserly, and Peyton. Mike's son Brandon lives in Washington State. I don't think we thought he maybe be on the phone, but I don't think he is. And Aletha is also here this evening. And so I'm going to read the proclamation and then present it to the family. Proclamation from the Office of Mayor, proclamation honoring Michael Norman. Whereas Michael Norman began employment with the City of Pella's Electric Department on June 3rd, 1994, and whereas during Mike's tenure with the City of Pella, he was promoted several times, most recently to the position of Electric Operations Superintendent, and whereas Mike was a vital part of the City of Pella's long-term power plant supply and personally oversaw the decommissioning of the city's coal power plant, and whereas Mike's expertise was integral to ensuring a successful transition to the city's power supply contract with Missouri River Energy Services, and whereas Mike's knowledge and expertise included complex environmental issues, and whereas Mike was a natural leader dedicated to teaching his team through his example, and whereas the electric department as a whole, especially the diesel plant, will forever be positively impacted by the effect that Mike displayed through the work he accomplished and the strong and devoted work ethic he exhibited. And whereas the City of Pella wishes to acknowledge the commitment which Mike put forth during his employment. Therefore, I, Don DeWard, Mayor of Pella, on behalf of the Pella City Council and citizens of Pella, do hereby recognize Mike Norman for his 29 years of service to the City of Pella. It's dated March 5, 2024. So to the family, I want to, on behalf of the community, express sympathies for the loss of Mike. I didn't know him personally, but I've heard a lot about him, and it's very positive. So he did a great job working for the City of Pella, and so you have our sympathies. And all you beautiful grandchildren, I know you're going to miss your grandpa, but so we want to present you with this and wish you all the best. You'll take it. So, that are 4 well-behaved young kids. So. Okay, we will move on to acceptance of civil service certified list of police lieutenant candidates. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the big board, and also welcome those viewers at home that are watching on Pella Fiber this evening. As Mayor DeWard stated, what this is a proposed acceptance to the certified lieutenant list, and recently, as background on this, the Pella City Civil Service Commission recently certified the following 2 candidates on this. And with this, I'm looking for Chief McShahey, and if not, I'll ask Captain Hossey. There you go, Chief. If you'd like to add any context or background on this for the council, but Before we turn it over to Chief for some additional input on this, is important to note, by accepting the list, what this authorizes is Chief McShahey is to hire either one of these individuals who are extremely qualified for this position as lieutenant for the Pella Police Department.
Yeah, this is better. So I'd just like to add, we're very fortunate here at the police department to have such a tenured representation, qualified officers willing to step up and fill this leadership position. I was extremely pleased with the process. The testing results were extremely close, and overall, I think either are well suited. So I'm going to have a tough decision to make.
Okay, that's all right. So I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved. Support.
Hopkins, Carlstone, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Carlstone,
Yes.
Van Stryland,
Yes.
Vanderhorst,
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. This time we have opportunity for a public forum. Anyone wishing to address council regarding any agenda item, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. All right. If you would like to address the council, please come forward to the mic and give us your name and address. And
Hi, my name's Ed Vanderpool. I live at, 1404 West First for 54 years. And part of my problem is living there. I have a very large sycamore tree on my front yard. I also live on a hill. So when I look up into that sycamore, I do not see cicadas. I see turkey vultures. It's becoming really, really a problem. So tonight I'm saying SOS, I need your help desperately. I do not want to live through 40 a night. My neighbors and I count 40 turkey vultures on my tree in the evening. And someone gave me the information yesterday, they saw one return. So it's a health hazard, I think, because I taught school for 40 years, but I have not taught these turkey vultures how to use the bathroom. They defecate unbelievably. You can imagine 40 of them up there for 8-9 hours. It's a health hazard, I think. I would not allow my grandchildren to play on my front yard. And my neighbors are looking at me like, what are you going to do about it? Because the odor is bad. The odor becomes extremely bad. So if you can help me on that, I'd be extremely pleased. Thank you.
thank you. Chief, you guys need some target practice?
So it's federal protected word. Hello. As the mayor knows, I've been involved in the process for a little time now. And what we have been doing just simply is a short-term solution. So I don't know what the long-term solution, wildlife management is not my, my cup of tea. But I can confirm that there are a lot of birds in that tree.
Okay, anyone else?
Cindy Atkins, 1330 Boone Street in Pella, and also Executive Director at the Pella Opera House. So we have something in Pella to look forward to every May. I know you're all thinking the Tulip Festival, but I just want to add that today on your agenda is a proposal from the Pella Opera House to add another event in May. A couple weeks later, not requiring as much work from our community as the festival, but an opportunity for us all to come together and celebrate music and the arts out in the street in front of the Pella Opera House on Franklin Street. And I just hope that you've had time to look through the proposal and be able to consider it tonight as an opportunity for us as a community to come together, to celebrate, to have an evening of just fun and hopefully wonderful weather, and let the Opera House bring our show outside into the street for a night.
Alicia Helm, 401 South Market in Oskaloosa. First, I'm sure you're aware that the Mahaska County Supervisors signed a letter that they have sent to the Iowa DOT in opposition to what the city of Oskaloosa is trying to do with the annexation plans and airport. They go so far as to say the annexation is legally questionable. They mention the City Development Board cannot approve annexation unless, quote, the city will be able to provide to the territory substantial municipal services and benefits not previously enjoyed by such territory, and that the motive for annexation is not solely to increase revenues within the city. Isn't that the main reason besides building an airport? Not to mention the action of the SCRAA are stressing the relationships between the Oskaloosa and Mahaska County Supervisors. Second, concerns the aforementioned SCRAA and the city. The SCRAA has targeted 60 days to modify their 2080 agreement based on an open meetings complaints filed with the Iowa Public Information Board. It's long overdue that it needs updates, but I'm encouraging this city to remove themselves from the 2080. It's very obvious that those landowners have no desire to sell their land, and Oskaloosa has said that they won't use eminent domain. You can say it's on the back burner all you want, but how about taking it off the back burner and just admitting defeat and move on and use the money for stuff that will actually benefit everyone? Not to mention you can fix your airport to make it more functional with the money the FAA might give you. If you're not going to disband the SCRAA, then you should be holding them accountable, because if you don't, you can be sure the citizens of Mahaska and Marion County will.
Anyone else?
Chelsea Neutron, 2329 Lucas Drive. But I am here tonight on behalf of Beth Deerking of Iris Coffee. Dear City Council members, I'm writing to express my concerns regarding the potential arrival of corporate chains such as Starbucks to our beloved community of Pella. As the owner of Iris Coffee, I deeply value the diversity and uniqueness of our local marketplaces, which contribute to the charm and the character of this city. While I understand we cannot prevent large chains from entering our town, I believe that it is within our power to choose not to incentivize them with the assistance of road and infrastructure developments. Our community thrives on the hard work and the dedication of local business owners who continually strive to enhance the customer experience and foster a sense of belonging in this very town. Pella's beauty lies within our vibrant local economy, fueled by individuals who pour their hearts and their souls into their businesses. By supporting and protecting these local entrepreneurs, we preserve the essence of our community and uphold the values that we say we hold so dear. I urge you, as esteemed members of the City Council, to prioritize the interests of our community by refraining from offering incentives that would facilitate the expansion of corporate chains in our community. Let us continue to showcase Pella as a unique and thriving destination driven by the passion and innovation of its local businesses. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and I look forward to your thoughtful consideration and action in preserving the integrity of Pella's local marketplace. Beth Deerking, owner of Iris Coffee.
Good evening. I'm reading for Michelle Gritters. She could not be here tonight. She had a photo shoot. I'm Michelle Gritters, and I'm the Vice President of the Downtown Business District, owner of 9 Lila's Boutique and a photo studio in downtown Pella. These are both very competitive businesses. Competition can and has made me better. However, by Google's account, we have 8 dedicated coffee shops in Pella. This doesn't include the many restaurants, eateries, food trucks that offer smoothies and other coffee options. By comparison, other towns of similar size have just 2 to 4 coffee shops, mostly 2. By these numbers alone, it doesn't make sense to add another coffee shop. Maybe it would be needed if there was a lack of coffee available in a specific part of town. However, they are spread out nicely across town. While there may be some perks to adding a Starbucks name to our town, we need to ask ourselves, would the benefits outweigh the risk of losing other small family-owned businesses, our neighbors, our friends that have invested in Pella? Owning a small shop in Pella is not a get-rich plan. We do not get huge retirements, HSAs, months of vacation time, or large salaries, and that's fine. We do it because we love our community and our daily guests. We wake up beaming with pride to go to work and serve you. Please don't risk these local coffee shops by bringing in a large corporation who, as of writing this, has nearly 40,000 locations. They don't need us, and we don't need them. All right, good evening, elected officials. My name is Amber Mockenhop. I'm the owner of Big Acai on the west side of the Pella Square. I've lived in Pella for over 14 years. I've raised my 3 kids here. I worked in Pella schools for a significant amount of time, and now I work at my little store every day. Pella is known as the land of refuge. In the English dictionary, that defines the condition of being safe or sheltered from pursuit of danger or trouble. I'm here to tell you that bringing a shark to a pool is trouble. When I opened my little store 4 years ago, every last penny I had in my pocket went into opening my doors on July 1, 2020. Even in the midst of COVID, I was not scared. You want to know why? Because I believed in Pella. I believe in the downtown. I believe in the we support small businesses. I believed in the we shop local. I believe that city officials like yourselves knew that if they didn't have the quaint, unique, small businesses that they had, they didn't have anything different than any other small town in the Midwest. I believed that I'd make it because I believed Pella believed in small town values, small town living, small shopping, and keeping it local. Now we are faced with a shark that could very well be the demise of some of us. This shark is Starbucks. Contrary to what some people may think, Starbucks is not a franchise, such as myself. They are not locally owned and operated. They do not play here, spend here, worship here, attend sporting events here. The shareholders of this corporation have probably never even been to Pella, Iowa. They are not small town. They are not small town values. They are not small town living. They are a shark in our pool. I've been told that the city does not have any say whether large corporation and large corporate entities come to Pella or not. It's a business enterprise. I don't know if any of that's true. I don't know how that works. That's not my wheelhouse, but I can tell you this. If you invite them, fund them, make it easy for them by providing infrastructure that they need, that speaks volumes to the small businesses in the community that have put their blood, sweat, tears, and money back into your community. According to the New York Times, since 2020, 400,000 small businesses have closed their doors. Cost of goods is suffocating us. In the cases, increasing over 200% over the last 3 years. Shipping and distribution has more than doubled in the past 3 years. Some of us are barely keeping our heads above water. We're trying to stay afloat in a crumbling economy, and now we are being handed a brick instead of a life preserver. I beg you to keep the dozens and dozens of small business owners in our little community in mind when making this decision. I'll say it again, a shark does not belong in our pool. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else? All right, we'll move on. I get a motion approval, for approval of the consent agenda. Brander, Horst, Hopkins, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Branderhorst? Yes. Hopkins?
Yes.
Van Stryland?
Yes.
Butler?
Yes.
Carlstone?
Yes.
Motion passed. Special event permit request for Pella Opera House outdoors. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. And once again, I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the big board for a brief presentation on this item. As Mayor DeWard stated, this request comes to us tonight from the Pella Opera House, and specifically what they're looking for is a special event permit to open an outdoors party or Opera House outdoors on Friday, May 17th, 4 to 10:30 p.m. In the event of inclement weather, the event would be held on Saturday, May 18th. And we do have a description of the event as well. Now, it is important to note that they are requesting the closure of Franklin Street from Main Street to East First Street, and we'll go over that here very shortly. So let's go ahead. Yep, right up here as well. So we do have a schematic design of the special event location as well. Let's go ahead, please, Mandy. Now, as far as on the agenda this evening, we do have a resolution that which would close Franklin Street from Main Street to East First Street from 6 a.m. to 11:45 p.m. on the day of the event. It is important also to note that the promoter will work with the Pella Police Department as far as the street closure is concerned. Now, as far as city staff review, all pertinent departments have reviewed the application this evening. The fee has been received. However, we are recommending conditional approval of this special event, and it's pending receipt of the appropriate certificate of insurance, the promoter applying for the necessary alcohol license with the state of Iowa and city council, also approval of the alcohol license as well. So with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes staff's presentation. Be more than happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
All right, thank you, Mike. I get a motion for approval. Brander Horst, Van Strylen. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Branderhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Quick question. Sorry, I missed the discussion piece. Has insurance been filed, or is there a window of opportunity yet for this?
Yep, so they, it is, the approval will be conditional upon receiving that.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's my understanding that, and Cindy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you wanted to go through this process first, and then the liquor license piece will come next,
Okay.
along
Yes.
with that.
Yes.
So, Carlstone,
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes. Motion passed. Moving on, resolution number 6667, entitled Resolution Temporarily Closing Public Ways or Grounds in connection with a special event known as Pella Opera House Outdoors. Can I get a motion? Oh, do we need to do any more?
I don't believe so.
All right. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Hopkins, Carlstone. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Carlstone,
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Branderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6661, entitled Resolution Ordering Construction of the Pella Indoor Recreation Aquatic Center and fixing a date for the hearing thereon and taking of bids therefore. This resolution was tabled on February 2024 until the city council meeting on April 2, 2024. So there's no action to be taken tonight. Moving on, resolution number 6668, entitled A Resolution Approving and Authorizing Execution of a Development Agreement by and between the City of Pella and Pella Retail Management LLC. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. As Mayor DeWart stated, what this resolution would do is approve a development agreement with Pella Retail Management Group. And specifically, it's important to keep in mind that this proposed development agreement is for proposed off-site public improvements for the development, or actually the upgrade of West 9th Street, as well as sanitary sewer extension to the site. Equally important to note that this is the same agreement that we discussed on February 6th as well. Now, the proposed tenants for the site that's located here in blue, and just to orientate everyone, Washington Street is located right here. The highlighted section of West 9th Street right here is this green highlighted area. If you were to drive out there today, what you would find is a partial gravel road and also somewhat of an asphalt overlay on segments of this portion of the street. The portion of the street is 100% within the city limits, and it's also equally important to note through the years the city council has discussed or had as far as discussions as far as upgrading this road and extending it all the way out to St. Mary's Catholic Church as well. So this section of road improvements has been previously discussed by the city council. Now, as far as the proposed tenants for the development agreement on here would be Starbucks and T-Mobile. Now, a little bit of background on the legislative process. The Planning and Zoning Commission conditionally approved the site plan for this development, and it was subject to the City Council approving the development agreement, which would address the off-site planned improvements for the development. So let's go ahead, please, Mandy. Now, as far as the summary of the agreement, what the developer is responsible for is to construct all on-site improvements. So this is the proposed site plan for the development that we have located there. They're responsible for everything within their property boundaries. They're also going to have to extend the sanitary sewer system to their site as well. And then they'd also be required to reimburse the city up to $220,220 towards the cost of the upgrade of West 9th Street. Now, as far as the city's responsibility in this matter is we would actually perform the West 9th Street property upgrade. And what we would do is we'd upgrade the current road to a regulation city street that's commonly referred to as an urban cross section. The total cost of that would be $440,440. And the project would be funded, our share of the project would be funded by the road use tax fund. So let's go ahead, please, Mandy. As we stated, the segment of street, and actually this proposed upgrade has been previously discussed by the City Council through the years. And what this development agreement would do would at least address the city portion of West 9th Street and 218th Avenue on here, which is the green highlighted portion of this. The developer would be reimbursing the city for the portion of the street which abuts their site as well. And then in addition, the developer would also be responsible for extending sanitary sewer, the city's sanitary sewer system through their site as well. Now, finally, Mr. Mayor, based on previous direction, the Pella City Council staff is recommending approval of the development agreement this evening. And this also concludes the staff presentation, so we'd be more than happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Hopkins, Carlstone, discussion?
Have we, has the Catholic Church reached out to us again as we head into this budget session about the paving of the road? Have we heard from them again?
Yeah, I with this budget session, I was actually contacted last fall by the Catholic Church on that, and I know there has been discussions and interest in, again, resuming those discussions. So I have been contacted last fall by the church.
All right, thank you.
Lynn, I was at the fish fry on Friday.
You were.
Yes, delicious. You should go.
Okay.
And they had basically everybody coming through line. They were asking to sign a petition to pave the road.
Oh,
So they're mobilized and working on it.
okay.
I talked to one of the gentlemen there, and they said they're sending that to the city and the county. So that was just last Friday.
All right, thank you.
Bet.
Helpful.
One thing that I want to, this is a tough, it's a tough issue because I know Casey and Beth and I care about them, and it's hard to decouple a developer working with a developer to let a developer pay for half of a street that needs to be paved and not think that we're subsidizing competition. That's the hard issue at play here. And what it really comes down to is this is a street that we had this discussion not too long ago at council.
Yeah.
Less than a few months ago. What are we gonna do with this street? And I believe there's other development in the works down the street as well.
How you doing?
That
Sorry.
this is a great opportunity to start the process that we already know that we're gonna have to spend the money on for the street. Independent of who the tenants are in the building, independent of what the businesses are in the building. This is an opportunity, and we're not gonna get a better opportunity than a developer paying for half the street. We, in the last few years, since my time on council, the city has paid for fully, how many gravel roads, Lynn?
Oh, my.
Several, fully. Where's Denny? We've paid for, out to my development, Prairie Street by Lynn,
Right.
the one on
Monroe Street.
Street. And those were fully paid for by the city. This is an opportunity to let somebody who wants to bring economic development to the town pay for part of it. So if we're indeed about improving our city streets, then then if we can have developers pitch in and pay for it, then by all means, let's do it. Holding in the tension of that's inevitably going to bring competition to some business, whatever that business may be.
So I know I heard a question in the comments that we can't keep anybody out, and you didn't, the question was, is that true? Or you didn't know if that's true. That's absolutely true. We cannot tell people, we can't say who can come and who can't come to our community. As long as they come and they live under our codes, there's nothing we can do. And I think if you really stop and think about it, I don't think anybody wants to live in a world where just because Pella doesn't want a certain business, we would have the ability to say, we don't want you. You would be asking a governmental unit to say to private industry, we don't want you here. And so I think we have to keep that in mind. And Dave, I think, explained pretty well. Historically, Pella has not expected its citizens to pay for new streets. Most communities don't do that. If you put in a new street, there's assessments made. And we know that this street is going to be, need to be completed. And as he said, for us to be able to get it at this section of it, half of it paid for, that's not something we normally have. So it's, and trust me, I was in CPA business in Pella for a long time. I worked with many small businesses. I know someone said they're not a get-rich-quick scheme. Oh, boy, are they not. People work extremely hard, and I understand that. But I think this is an opportunity for us to get some infrastructure in, and with the help of a developer, are paying for half of it. If you think about it, it's a 2-lane road. They're paying for their half of the road, and we're paying for ours.
I would make one comment that everybody that goes to Starbucks is going to have to drive there. And many of the coffee shops are downtown, and a lot of people can walk to downtown. So, you know, you've got an edge on that side of it, and I can understand the concern about the competition, but everybody's got to drive there, and a lot of people, you've got a lot of people that walk downtown. A lot of business that walks in.
West 9th Street to the Catholic Church, some of that is in city limits, some of that is outside of city limits. So therefore, all of the city limit portion will eventually be our responsibility, and the county portion will be the county's portion. Is that a 50-50, if I recall? Between, like, length of street? Remind me real.
Yeah, the best way to look at it, we'd have to look at excluding this, but when we looked at basically from Washington Street up to St. Mary's, prior to this proposed development agreement, about half of it was inside the city limits and half was in rural Marion County. So by completing our segment, this is the 100%. That takes care of a good portion of the city's response.
Well, that's what my next question was. What percent of this West 9th is in the city's 50% of the entirety?
You know, Dr. Carlstone, I apologize. I don't happen to have that here, but we'd be happy to give that, provide that to you. Because
obviously this is on the agenda. A large portion of our citizenry attends church there. We know the negatives about living and driving on gravel, et cetera. So this is on our agenda. And the opportunity to do it at a 50% decrease. I'm not natively Dutch. I know we have some ancestry on the panel. That seems to be like music to a Dutchman's ears. So I think Dave alluded to it, I think Mayor did, I think even John did. Competition's no fun. But if we could blind ourselves to what's going on in the purple, but whoever's going to do the purple is going to pay for half of the infrastructure to it, I think that helps us remove the bias to what the decision tonight is really about. And that is the city's responsibility of the infrastructural pieces. And we've talked about that ad nauseum up here, about that's our responsibility. So to be able to do it at a sale price seems really logical to me. I think competition just in general is healthy for everybody in a biological system, in a competitive marketplace. And I will still go to acai, and I'll still take my kids to Smoky Row and Iris. We'll still walk downtown. John's a great point. I mean, people are not coming to Pella, Iowa to stop at Starbucks en route to the square. They're coming to the square. So that's aside. Let's blind ourselves to what's going on in the purple. Our city responsibility is infrastructural piece, and we can get it at 50% off.
That's a very good point.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? All right, we're gonna vote. So all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Carlstone,
Yes.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
Vanderhorst,
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, moving on, resolution number 6669, entitled Resolution Setting Time and Place for a Public Hearing for the purpose of considering the proposed tax levy for the city's fiscal year 2024-25 budget. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Once again, I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the big board for a presentation on this item. As Mayor DeWart stated, what we're entertaining tonight is permission to establish April 2nd at noon as the public hearing date for the city's maximum property tax levy. This is a new legislative requirement by the state of Iowa for this fiscal year. So when we talk about FY 24-25, that is the fiscal year that would start on July 1st, 2024 and extend through June 30th, 2025. It is important to note on March 25th and the 26th, the council does have scheduled budget work sessions to discuss the FY 24-25 budget as well as the associated 5-year capital improvement plan. Now with that, our job prior to that meeting, what the state is requiring is that cities publish the maximum possible property tax levy that they could levy for FY 24-25. Does not mean that the city will levy it, and it does not authorize or obligate the city to levy what's being proposed on this as well. So when you look at it through that lens on it, now what staff is proposing, we discussed this on February 6th as well, actually February 20th, excuse me, was that the proposed maximum property tax levy is viewed as really a means that could give the city flexibility in considering options for the 2024-25 budget. And with that, what we're proposing and what we discussed on February 20th was establishing the maximum levy rate at $1.30. And this is an increase over the city's current levy rate of $10.20, which has been that for approximately 21 years on it. The reason for the increase is really driven down to two items. A is the operational increase that we had, and that's mainly associated with the Pella Community Ambulance. The city did take over the ambulance 2 years ago. It's an excellent service. It's an essential service for the city of Pella, and at that time, we absorbed it within our current rates on that as well. If we were to look at that amount that we took over with it, is we have a subsidy of about $600,000 associated with the ambulance. The second item that we have is we've experienced significant increases in our property and liability insurance for the city, and that's been similar to other cities across the state of Iowa as well. And so when you look at the operating portion would be 77 cents, and the debt service levy increase would be approximately 33 cents. Let's go ahead and talk about the debt service levy if we could. And once again, I want to stress this does not obligate the city to have $1.30 as far as your maximum, as far as your property tax levy. It just gives you the flexibility. If you choose to do so, you can on it. But with the debt service levy, they would be associated with these particular projects that we have here, and these would be options that would be available to the city council if you chose to establish the debt maximum tax levy rate at $1.30. And once again, we covered the ambulance, health insurance, and of course, with this year, not of course, but it's just a fact, we are facing state funding cuts as well. So that is associated with the 2025 budget. So Mandy, let's go ahead, please. And I believe we've covered most of these items, but I want to stress once again, all we're doing with this resolution is establishing April 2nd at noon as our public hearing date for the maximum property tax levy. That will be after our budget work sessions, and it's very likely that the total levy rate will be something different than $11.30. But what this does is it gives the city flexibility in considering options for the 2025 fiscal year budget. And so with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes the staff presentation. Be more than happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
All right, Mike, you so seldom make any mistakes. You said $1.30 a couple times when you meant 11:30. So
Yeah.
I don't know how the audio
Yeah.
portion of these, but.
No, okay. 11:30, I stand corrected.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion for approval?
Support.
Brander, Horst, Hopkins, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Brander Horst?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Van Strylen?
Yes.
Butler?
Yes.
Carlstone?
Yes.
Motion pass. Moving on, resolution number 6670, entitled Resolution Approving, Ordering the Preparation of Plans and Specifications, Form of Contract, Notice of Hearing, and Notice of Letting, setting date for public hearing, authorizing the taking of bids, and authorizing bid opening for the Broadway Street Improvements, University Street to Independence Street. Mike, can you?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. And really what we're hoping to do with this resolution is two things. We're hoping to establish, or we'd like to establish, April 16th is the public hearing date for the project. And you're giving city staff permission to solicit bids for this particular project. Now, just to orientate everyone, the Broadway section of street is this orange highlighted area that we have here. University Street is down to the south. Independence Street is to the north. And this area abuts Central College that we have right through here. We do have a description of the proposed street improvement. It is important to note what is being proposed is a new brick street for this area. So let's go ahead, please, Mandy. Now, as far as the estimated cost of the project, I'd like to explain this street is a high visibility street, and it has, you know, obviously it's integral to the Central College campus. And as a result, we've had additional logistical issues that we've experienced with the project. Not as far as driving up the cost, but it's caused some delay what we've had. But we've recently received an engineer's opinion of probable cost of just shy of $1.5 million on this project. Coming into this budget, we had $950,000 allocated for the project. Now with that, what we are proposing is a revised budget for the project on here, and we'd have a total project budget counting the engineering of $1,666,000 for the project. And what we're hoping to make up the shortfall is use portions of our Pella Business Corridor TIF funds in just the amount of $1,235,000 for the project. The remaining portion would be tapped in the road use tax fund of $425,000 to come up with the project budget. Now let's go ahead, please, Mandy. Okay. I would also like to mention, based off our work to date, we believe if the City Council were to dedicate $425,000 of funding from the road use tax fund, that would not delay or alter existing projects planned for the current fiscal year or for the budget that we are currently will be discussing here very soon. That would be the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. And once again, I'd like just to briefly refresh the dates. If Council were to approve this resolution, we'd have a bid letting date on April 4th and a public hearing date on April 16th. If everything went up okay and City Council was able to award a contract on the project, we'd be actually issuing a notice to proceed on May 13th. And Danny, I'll probably get myself in trouble on this, but the plans are is to have this project done hopefully before, portion's a good portion. Yeah, it is.
So we're trying to restrict it enough to finish from the south going north. So if there's anything to be buttoned up, sidewalks, driveways, anything like that, it'd be on the north block versus the south. Because it's a real tight, with the brick inlay, that's a tight schedule, and everything's involved here, sewer, water, storm, sub-drain. We're tight.
And I just would like to emphasize with the City Council, there's a lot of logistics anytime you go through a street that it deals with the college campus on it. And there's a lot of people to contact with the project, and we've been spending quite a bit of time on that. But with that, with the budget increase, if you'd like to talk about it during the budget work sessions, this project would be delayed until calendar year 2025 if you chose to do that. And that's why we've worked with an alternative budget solution that increases the level of the total project budget up to $1,660,000 for the project as a whole. So with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes the staff presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
All right, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval? And Strylen, Carlstone, discussion? All right. favor, or, did I hear anybody? Okay. All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on, ordinance number 1034, entitled an ordinance amending zoning ordinance of the city of Pella, Iowa by changing the zoning classification of property located west of Fifield Road and north of Highway G28, city of Pella, Marion County, Iowa, and this is the second reading. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be more than happy to explain this item. As Mayor DeWard stated, this request comes to us from the ATI group, and it's for property that's just shy of 26 acres. And just to orientate everyone, Washington Street and Highway G28 is located down here. West 16th Street is out here. The Prairie Ridge subdivision that we have is the existing locations right out here. The proposed location for this rezoning is this highlighted area right over here, and Ulrich Ford is located right over here. Now, as far as the request that we're receiving tonight is to change the zoning classification of the property from A1 Ag to a planned unit development. We'll explain that here very shortly in the presentation. As with all planned unit developments, all of them are required to have a base zoning district. So that means unless there's an exception noted in the ordinance, the base zoning district would refer back to a medium density residential zoning, which is what the intent of the project is. Now let's go ahead, please, Mandy. Now, as far as the development that we have this evening under the city zoning code, when we consider planned unit developments, it's intended for, it's really a negotiated process with the developer. And it's for those projects that are viewed as community needs for the city. And likewise with the developer, there's usually some complications in proposing the intended product. And in this particular case, what is being proposed is a product that is open to all members of the public, but it's really being marketed to individuals 55 years and older. They're looking to right-size their living arrangements now on this. Now, ultimately, the developer intends to create 83 single-family residential lots, which would be for sale for market rate. The proposed development also includes a clubhouse as well as associated amenities on that as well. And we have a picture of the clubhouse. Now let's go ahead as well as the patio home floor plan that we have. It's important to note in considering this item that with the rezoning ordinance, everything revolves around Exhibit A that we see up on the big board. The developer is going to be required to develop the property in accordance with Exhibit A that we have here as well. So let's go ahead, please, Mandy. Now, as far as when we talked about the planned unit development and the negotiated process, if you looked at it from a city standpoint, housing has been a key strategic need for the city of Pella for a long, long time. The recent housing assessment that was completed in 2017 identified an additional 966 housing units that would need to be constructed in our community by the year 2025 to meet housing needs. When we looked at those individual buckets, we call them, housing for individuals 55 years and older was accounted for about a third of that demand. And to date, that's probably been one of the more challenging aspects, is trying to get housing such as what we're considering this evening. So from a comprehensive plan standpoint, city strategic planning process, we consider this as a project that meets those needs. In exchange for that, what the developer is the request is certain waivers of the city's zoning code that are mentioned in the zoning ordinance, and we went through these before. They were also included in the packet. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions if council has that. But keep in mind, the other exchange on this is the developer is obligated to develop the properties in accordance with the color renditions that are included in the packet. And we believe this will be a high-end housing stock as well. So that's kind of the trade-off that's being proposed this evening. But in summary, we believe that this is a key strategic, housing is a key strategic need for the city. In addition, housing for individuals 55 years and older is a need as well. And furthermore, it is also important to note that the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously approved this ordinance during the January 22nd meeting. And finally, it is also equally important to note that the developer is requesting waiver of the third reading of the proposed ordinance this evening. So with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes the staff presentation. Be more than happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support. Vanderhorst, Hopkins, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Move to set aside the rules and place on third and final reading.
Horst Van Strylen, any discussion? All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Horst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Move to adopt.
Horst Van Strylen. So the motion is to adopt ordinance number 1034. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Horst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, moving on, abstract of bills number 2146. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Carlstone. Did I? Hopkins. Discussion, questions? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Horst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Any council member have any other business you'd like to be addressed this evening? Any member of the public have any other business that you would like to address council with this evening? If you do, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Karma Ruthven, 300 West 5th Street. I just want to give some empathy to the coffee people. I don't drink coffee, but in regards to the Starbucks and all that stuff, I will give them empathy. I agree with totally what they were saying. And I didn't know if it mattered the size of town that we have in regards to if a Starbucks comes, you know, if that has any matter to it, and also if they have to agree for a Dutch front, are we still doing that? So they
Yes,
have to agree to
The
that?
design standards are in place for this building, just like every other building.
Okay. Then I have something else. Who do you contact in this town if you have a landlord who is not taking care of his tenants and is illegal stuff is going on?
This is not a valid menu option.
Sorry.
That is harming other tenants. And the police have been called different times and nothing seems to get done. No offense, police officers. And it's on, and I'm sure some of you probably will know, but it's on the 200 block of Main Street.
Well, we have our attorney here, so I don't know. Not at this moment, we're not going to discuss this in public, but I think you can reach out to find out what role the city could play in anything like that.
Or who you contact if the landlord's not doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, I have no idea, but we probably do have something.
I would say typically it's a private issue between the landlord and the tenant and has to be taken to court. Whether there's something council can do, we can certainly look into that.
So I need to reach out to you.
Yeah. I don't know that I can do anything particularly, but I can certainly answer any questions and look into it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? All right, then we will adjourn to our policy and planning. Item 1 to discuss brief budget discussion. I know we're going to spend 2 nights later this month talking about it.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we just have a brief update, and I just wanted to give City Council notice. We're in the process of putting together a budget survey for fiscal year 2025. And the survey is on a voluntary basis, and really what it's intended to do is assist city administration in prioritizing projects, as the focus will be on city capital projects. And so what our hope is to get that out to the city council, and if you'd like to have input or help me out or help city administration and our team out as far as making a budget recommendation, we'd appreciate your input. But the survey we've targeted March 12th for the survey, and so with that, we just didn't want questions to arise of what is the budget survey or why are we doing this on it. So we're simply hoping to prioritize project, and we'd like to receive your input before we get to the budget work sessions.
So you'll be sending that to each of us individually?
Yes.
I like it. Thank you.
Okay. If it's okay, Mayor, if we can go ahead, please. All righty. The next item that we have is a proposed agreement.
Oh, just a second. I wasn't sure you were going on the next. Is anybody else have any other questions? Everybody understands what the plan is? Survey for all of us to fill out. Okay.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. What we have this evening is a proposed agreement with the Cross Mental Health Region for Law Enforcement, and it's for the Crisis Intervention Program on here. And we're going to ask Chief McShahey very shortly to explain the program and the need in our community for it. But the intention is to foster better community relations, and that's ultimately the whole goal of the program with this. And so, Mandy, let's go ahead and look at the terms of the agreement that we have. Now, under the terms of the agreement, what we would be obligated to do is provide a full-time crisis intervention officer that would work with a designated mental health professional. The CIO, or the crisis intervention officer, would be supervised by our police department as well. Now, the term of the agreement on the initial term would be start on actually this calendar year and go through December 31st. Now, our partner to the agreement would pay 100% of the CIO's wages and benefits for the proposed 3 years of the agreement. So we have an option to renew for 2 additional years on this. So it'd be 100% where this program would be funded entirely by the crisis. Actually, Mandy, if we can go back on this as well. On this with Cross Mental Health Region for Law Enforcement on this. So let's go ahead, please, on here. So it's a 3-year agreement that would be 100% of the cost would be covered. After that, it'd be 100% the city's responsibility with it. And with that, Mr. Mayor, if there's no questions on the funding for the agreement or the term of the agreement, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Chief McShahey to talk about the proposed program and the need for it in our community.
Thank you, Mike. This is a very unique opportunity. We don't see grant opportunities like this very often, which funds not only the entire benefit cost of one of our seasoned officers, by the way, but also, things that we don't really think about. What does it cost to train a new officer to fill that spot? What does it cost to outfit an officer? What does it cost for the academy? And all those fees are covered under this grant. In addition, they'll also need a vehicle. And so there's a cost of a vehicle and the equipment to outfit that vehicle. So this is a national trend. I can't give you how many years, but I would say, at least the past 5 or so. We talk about the need to distinguish police calls versus mental health calls. And I will tell you, in my professional opinion, it's very dangerous to send a mental health professional out by themselves. But oftentimes an officer is faced with situations that they just aren't adequately trained for on the mental health side. So this is a great opportunity to team up not only a crisis intervention officer, which is a certified police officer in the state of Iowa, and a mental health professional trained to deal with these specific issues in our community. And really what we're doing is a lot of this is just connecting people in crisis with resources. And de-escalation is a big piece of this as well. And so I think it's a great opportunity, and let's not forget that there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes action here. So it's not always just the response to the person in need, but being able to follow up on normal cases such as domestics, child neglect, partnering with our schools. So bringing this resource, and again, we're just connecting folks with services that are already available that they just may not know or have a direction or path to. So I'm very excited about this, and I think the 28E agreement, which basically sets out those costs for year 1, year 2, and year 3, makes sense.
Any comments, questions?
Chief, you said there was grant funding for this project?
Yes.
And the renewable 28E is the renewable part. I assume the grants will run out and we'll eventually need to start budgeting for this program.
You're correct, Dr. Carlstone. After the 3-year period of time, that's when we believe it'd be 100% the city's cost and responsibility.
And you mentioned as an advantage that all the onboarding training obviously is the expensive part of the hire. The annual and benefits, et cetera, going forward, we think are going to be in line with a regular officer? Is it?
No, that's a good question. So what it would do, it would increase our staff by one person. And we would look to fill that crisis intervention officer with a tenured officer, and that makes sense, or should make sense to everybody who's been here, you know, and is well-grounded. Then we would backfill that position with a new officer position. So there's a little bit of cost savings when you take tenured officer salary and replace with newer. Those one-time costs of year one are the cost to train that new officer, to equip the new officer. And then, of course, the vehicle is a key component to this. Again, they're going to be, as a team, responding, and so their 40-hour work week. And, you know, at the end of the day, that officer still is employed by the city of Pella, and if need be, they can be used in, you know, emergency resources on the day-to-day operations as well.
So we all know there's more than 40 hours in a week, and you and I know well that mental health crises don't always happen 8 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the other hours in the week?
Another great question. So what this grant also does is it provides training for our officers on the critical incident training. Right now, we only have a few officers who actually have taken this course, and this contract, if you will, provides for continued training, not only at the base level, but continuing training. And let's not forget that our officers do have, you know, a good baseline knowledge of mental health crisis response and critical incident response. And so if your question is, are they going to be called out? Not necessarily. But if we look and identify when those needs are, I think this covers that immediate need to respond.
Yeah, and not to beat it with a dead horse, as we say in our house, but will it be an 8 to 5 as the 40 hours? Or are you going to match it when the needs arise?
Well, we're going to look at our call response and see, you know, what times that best suits. What I suspect with just doing a shallow dive is there's no real, there's no set pattern, right? So
certain holidays, right? Certain.
You would think so, but we don't have an established pattern right now. So we'll just kind of have to see, you know, what the need is and fill that need. But good question.
Okay, anything else, anyone?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Move forward.
Okay.
All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Hopkins, Carlstone, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Carlstone,
Yes.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
Vanderhorst,
Yes.
Butler.
Yeah.
Motion passed, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.